Cheers guys, Epyx911. Welcome to this miscellaneous VR episode. It's going to be kind of a two-fold, this video. The first, I've had a lot of people ask me about the man cave configuration, how things are laid out in terms of where I do my VR, where I do my VR news. So I thought, you know what, since I'm doing a video on the sensor setup anyways, which is all on the side that's unseen, I may as well show the other stuff too. So let's start there. So for my VR news setup, I've got a 3-monitor configuration here. Monitor 1, 2, and 3, 27-inch monitors, 1080p the outer left and right, 4K in the middle. And then the mic boom arm with the Yeti. You can see this is a rolling table. It rolls. So that is where I, as I start moving the mic, that's where the audio gets captured. So when I'm sitting there doing the news, the mic is right here, just under camera level. And what I do is I prop the camera level up here on a bar stool and move this monitor just over to the right. So when I do look at the screen for notes, I'm just looking down as opposed to the left, to the right, which can get really, really distracting, I know. That's it for basically for the VR news. And you can see that obviously with the big green sheet there is where the green screen capture happens. So that's basically the side here of the man cave that's usually unseen. But let's talk about the main focus of this video, which is the sensor setup and the lighthouse setup for the Vive. We'll start with the Vives first. So I've got a tripod up here. It's at about 7 3/4 feet. I'm 6 foot tall, okay? So 7 3/4. And diagonally, you can see there's one in the corner there. I've got a tripod. Right now it has a Rift sensor on it. But because they use the exact same standard tripod mounting screw size, they're easy to change between them. So when that is a lighthouse, it's up also 7 3/4 feet. And diagonally opposed to this one. You could draw a perfect line between the two. And I stand right here center. So that limits the occlusion because I've got that diagonal sweep there. And really don't notice occlusion with the Vive much. There's minor occlusion, but it never comes close to hurting immersion like the 2 sensor setup on the Rift. We'll talk about a 3 sensor setup to remedy that next. So this tripod pretty much stays Vive 24/7. That one will switch between Vive and Rift. So what about Rift mode? Well, Rift mode, I've got one camera here, front facing to the right, and another here front facing to the left. What Oculus recommends is in a 3 sensor setup, 2 front-facing sensors, and then a rear diagonal sensor. And that's essentially what I've done, but I've altered the variables slightly to tweak it to work even better for my configuration. So I'll explain. Instead of making the front facing the same height, I make the right front facing one line up diagonally with the Rift to the left behind me. And that's important, and I'll explain in a second. Height-wise, it's just under man boob level. So between navel and man boob, I'd say right about here. The front left one is about waist height, as you can see. The 2 are separated. Ideally, you want about 8 feet. And what I achieve, because this is a rolling table like I showed you, I achieve about 7.5 feet. I'll roll it enough to the left that I can still walk through. But yeah, about 7.5 feet apart in front of me, the right one higher, the left one lower. So almost chest height on the right, waist height on the left. The one diagonally behind me, 7.5 feet, basically almost scraping the 8-foot ceiling, diagonally lined up with the front right-facing one. The key to that is the occlusion. So for example, in that same neutral spot in behind. The two front-facing cameras take care of basically all of your occlusion concerns 180 degrees in front, right? From the sides all the way in front, top to bottom. That's the strongest capture point. To the left, you've got this up high left diagonal behind you camera, which together with the front left one pretty much takes care of any and all occlusion to your left. So you're left with two weak positions. The one with your back, like if I'm facing the green screen, that's where that top diagonal one comes in handy. It can capture all of that. And then of course facing to the right, you have occlusion as well, but because you've chosen to put that right facing one higher up, it actually catches most of the instances of occlusion that you would have if you, say, put it waist height along with the other one. And I've tried that, and I definitely, with Robo Recall and Arizona Sunshine, noticed more occlusion. So that really is the key, is ensuring that this camera, the front right one, is higher. Now, if you've got your setup the other way around, where maybe behind and diagonal to the right, you've got one sensor up high, then make the front left one your slightly higher of the two front facing, right? I'm going to show that. I'll probably have a graph up while we're, showing this video to show you exactly that. But that would be my recommendation for like the perfect setup. Now, granted, I've only tried those two games, but let me tell you, Arizona Sunshine is super sensitive, probably the most sensitive to tracking out there for Oculus Rift. If I can make that game happy, which I did, I know I'm comfortable it's going to work for most everything else. So that's why that was a game that was key for me when I was tweaking and trying different layouts. So there you go. That's about it. And then the only other thing is when I do the green screen work, having a remote mic as opposed to this mic boom arm for better audio. That'll be coming next. So there you have it, guys. That's basically the configuration that I use. Got any questions? Let me know. Green screen wise, that's pretty much it. I will use clamps. There's a bag of about 30 various sized clamps, and they're like in pairs, each size category, for about $5 US, that you can use to make the green screen more taut, right? Like tighter, so there's no creases. So that's what I use, and it takes literally seconds just to pin it up. The part that juts out of my sectional here, that gets covered with green fabric as well. So there's a bunch of trailer on the floor there. You can see probably, a little bit of it you can see bunched up. I play with that, throw it out more and up and over that sectional piece so that the ground is also green screen covered. That's basically it, guys. Hope you guys are having a kick-ass weekend. Let me know if you have any questions on the sensor setup. I'll do my best, Vive or Rift, to answer you. As always, guys, cheers.